hear some people's feedback on how they could, or what they would love to see from the Digibite awareness team, because we want to do something. We want to be a part of the community, and we want to make sure that we're leading in a way that is helping to facilitate growth in Digibite, not only just in the amount of people that are joining the community, but the amount of knowledge that is being absorbed about what we have, this product, this blockchain, and so that people understand what they have so they continue to hold it. One thing I want to stress, and I just talk about this all the time, is it's important that we promote this blockchain, because survival of blockchain technology is dependent upon us. And what that means is, you educate other people on the technology, you educate yourself on the technology, and you continue to promote it, because a lot of people who join the blockchain space or the cryptocurrency space don't necessarily know the importance of blockchains like Digibite. They don't know why it exists. They don't know why it's here. And 9 years of solid blockchain is something to be proud of. And I hope that we can, from this point, go forward and continue to educate, because that's really what this community has been about: education. Educating people on the importance of why this technology is here. And so if we want to start a conversation on what the Digibite awareness team could do that they're not doing, that would be a great segue into talking about the 9th year being hosted by the Digibite awareness team, because we don't want to be this entity that's not doing anything. We want to help to promote Digibite in the most effective way. And to do that, we need to hear from other people, their suggestions. And, we're 17 strong, I think, right now. But we really need to have a strong voice in the community. And I think we have had one. But a lot of people have been disappointed in our lack of activity. So it's something that I've been on the team for a few months, and I want to see that change. But as Digibite hits 9 years, what is needed for Digibite awareness team? What is needed for us? Because we have the Alliance, they're focusing on education. We have the foundation, who is focusing on, the business part of it. And then you have Digibite awareness team, which we should be focused on spreading awareness and education on the actual blockchain itself. So what do you guys think?
Hey everybody, this is Archie. So I'm also on the Digibite awareness team, and I want to thank Michael and everyone in the awareness team that kind of got together independently and decided to do this space. So I think a lot of what Michael just said, Master's leadership just said, is 100% accurate. There has been, the Digibite awareness team does a lot of work behind the scenes for Digibite. We have people on the Digibite awareness team who have been with Digibite from the beginning. We have people that are running the website, digibite.org, digibite.org. They're always in the community, always dealing with the exchanges, almost in lieu of a centralized entity controlling Digibite. The Digibite awareness team has stepped up and contacts exchanges, whether that be Coinbase, Binance, Abra, Change Angel is involved with the Digibite awareness team. So there's a lot of change in the community. There's a lot of change in the whole Digibite ecosystem right now. As Michael has said, the foundation was established, the alliance was established. There's groups from all over the world that are establishing themselves, and now the Digibite awareness team is in this stage where our focus is on awareness, it is on education, and we're also a structure that connects these different organizations and these different centralized parts in a decentralized ecosystem together. So that's kind of what we're trying to do from our perspective. And there's a lot of people in here right now, and a lot of different people with a lot of different goals, a lot of different beliefs, and a lot of different prospects with Digibite. So glad that everyone can make it out, and I'd love for more people to get on the stage and converse with us. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm only going to be on until about 7 o'clock, but I want to definitely facilitate a conversation over the next 45 more minutes that we can actually use to help improve the Digibite awareness team. I know a lot of people in the spaces, because I've hosted spaces in the past, they've had things to say about the awareness team. This is the perfect time to voice that, because what we want to do over the next year is improve how we facilitate learning about Digibite. And one of the things that I presented to the awareness team was us doing monthly to bi-weekly informational sessions where we can invite new people to what they call it, repetitive synergistic presentations that you do monthly to bi-monthly and invite people to join to visit, could help to grow the community, because then they have a place to fellowship and learn. And this is possible through YouTube, where we could take the Alliance presentation that they did before Washington, which was a great presentation, and possibly enhance it to have more people come to a live presentation versus having to send them a whole YouTube video. And we just invite a large crowd of people to help to learn about Digibite. And the other thing is each one, reach one, teach one. And I think that's, as we go into this new year, we have to ensure the survival of this technology. It's not about price, it's not about money, but it's about people understanding what this technology is and getting involved with it. And getting involved doesn't necessarily mean investing, but understanding and promoting this technology. And this is something I've been doing personally, but I think we all need to come together as a community and create some type of facilitation of learning, every few months or monthly or every few weeks, where we have that same presentation about Digibite and people can ask questions and we can answer them for them. And hopefully there'll be a different host every time that we do one, so that, or maybe it could be the same host. I don't know. That was just something that I came up with. I don't know if you guys like the idea, but I do like the idea of live presentations that are repetitive, meaning that they are the same presentations that we can invite people to get them to get into learning just the basics, and then hopefully spirit them into learning more than just the basics after the fact. But that's just an idea I came up with. We could start the conversation on that. We could start the conversation on something else. But I just want to say I'm just excited to be a part of Digibite. 9 years of solid blockchain technology, which, I think is like awesome. You know what I mean? When you tell people that this technology is dependable and we've been around for 9 years, it's just wonderful. But I see Dave on the stage. You got LT, got Con, Script, Frank. What's up, guys?
That's good, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually only going to be able to be on for a little bit, but I did want to be here, and I'm excited. If anybody loves Digibite, I did. So it's I'm a little disappointed that I can't stay for the whole show. But what I will say is that I'm committed to the Digibite awareness team. I'm committed to Digibite. And I just want us to be more successful this year in recruiting new members, because we need to continue to grow so that more people can learn about what this technology is.
And what kind of members are you talking about? Are you talking about Digibite awareness team members?
No, I'm talking about community members in general. People who join the community, possibly buy the coin or help educate other people on.
Definitely.
Definitely not necessarily the awareness team itself, but individuals in general. I took up a mission. I have about 50 people that I have gotten involved with DigiByte, and we're all in the group together. But it would be nice to be able to invite them to an event or a presentation where they could bring someone else. Because, see, everybody wants to bring someone else in, but they don't really have the tools and the ability to explain DigiByte. So it would be nice if they had, a presentation that they could send people to once a month or every 2 months, and that presentation can just get people just basically aware of the simplicity of the blockchain. We don't have to explain the complicated processes, but explain to them why they need to be involved. And
exactly.
I think that's going to take some refining to determine what that is. But I think
what platform would you launch it on?
I'll say this. I think what Michael is getting at is like one of the core things that we have to focus on in DigiByte, and that is to everybody, probably in this chat, in this space. Maybe the basics seem self-evident, but I want you all to remember that when you're first learning about, crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, DigiByte, it's not very easy to find reliable information. So I think a lot of community members have already kind of focused on dispersing and putting out, good information. I think, and this goes to Michael's point, we really do need to continue and strengthen the connections between the community members, really bring that community back and grow from there. Anyone have anything to add to that?
Well, I'm not sure if it was only me, but the microphone got really, really cloudy.
Yeah, I agree with all that Michael said, and as well, a collaborated effort from everyone within the community should get involved. And you asked as far as which platform to broadcast to, why not all of them?
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, definitely, because I know, Dave, you do StreamYard, right?
Right. I've got different subscriptions all over the place, from StreamYard to I also use editing software of Filmora X. It's like Filmora 11 now, but yeah, I can multi-stream to many different platforms, even to Reddit. So many.
Nice.
Many. I mean, BitChute. What are some others? I created a bunch of different accounts and synced them all together. So we do have the ability, and it's like, I volunteer. Why not? I mean, DigiByte is one of the ones that helped retire me. This last run, I to discuss a little bit of numbers, I mean, I got a 51X, and being disabled, I saw crypto as freedom. So, for me to be able to invest and to be able to do other things without someone telling me how much I can have, how much I can own, and then to live in fear of losing benefits, absolutely. I chose crypto, and I began in 2014, and I retired at the onset of the pandemic, but I'm not done yet. I'm still learning different programs.
Dave, you're just like me. You're just like everyone else here. That we believe in the true decentralized nature and the going back to just the raw fundamentals of DigiByte and blockchain technology. I mean, that's what it was. What attracted me was you had a pioneer like Jared Tate down there starting a movement what Bitcoin would have been, right? Could have been. Now it's just like a store value of gold or whatever. I mean, who needs that? I mean, truthfully, we wouldn't be here without Bitcoin or, and the Merkle tree and blockchain technology and whatnot, and Navy and all that. But the thing is, you're just like me, man. you invested in something that you believed in wholeheartedly because it was just the truth.
Well, yeah, I began back in 2014, but when I volunteered for, to work the booth with Laura Taylor, and joined DigiByte awareness team, my first statement to Jared Tate still exists today, and it's on the 9th birthday, I want to say thank you for fixing the vulnerabilities of that of Bitcoin. I mean, that's huge, dude. Thank you.
Jared is in, right?
Yeah, Jared's here, but he's not speaking. But you know what? I'm fine with that because Jared is here, and it's exciting. And
I think he should be speaking.
I think he should speak too. But he's one of my favorite people. He doesn't know it yet, but I think that this space should be about how do we advance, how do we grow, how do we get better? Because the community, it sucks when I look on coinmarketcap.com and we're only 177,000 watchers, and then you see I don't want to call it a shit coin, but a meme coin with over 1 million watchers, and it's like, why are you guys watching us? So it's just a challenge that we need to face on how we get more people into learning about blockchain, not necessarily investing, but learning about what this is and why they need to be involved. And DigiByte is perfect for that because it's not expensive, it's very affordable.
Yeah, man, for sure. For sure, and I'm already building a platform called For All Crypto, where I currently have a lot of courses in Dutch where I teach people about cryptocurrencies, make them more aware, make it more easy for people to join in. And in my community, in the Dutch community as well, DigiByte is becoming more and more attractive, even though that it might not seem like a lot, 177,000 people. You don't need all of the lurkers, you just need the people who really want to build. And I've noticed in the DigiByte team and during my years with DigiByte, it's like everyone just works on their own pace because we do not have any marketing budget. It's not like a central authority. It's just like what the community builds will become. And I think with everything going on around DigiByte, I actually used it on CoinKit to buy the DigiByte history book, I think those are all cool things that are definitely worth sharing with people, and that people like you and I will eventually trade each other with DigiByte, whether it's in X value or Y value.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all passionate about DigiByte for sure, and we definitely do want to get quality, resilient holders and community members. And I just think that, I come from network marketing, and I say it all the time, and I don't promote any of my network marketing businesses to the community, but network marketing works. Word of mouth advertisement works, and it's the best form of advertising. So like each one, reach one, teach one is really a good philosophy that we could build upon if we created a repetitive presentation that we could invite people to where they would get the same information every time, and it would actually encourage them to learn more.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to focus on, and on the awareness team, that's what I've been promoting, and hopefully we'll get to that point. But is there anything else that you guys want to see from the awareness team? I know the Alliance is doing amazing things, especially with the 501c3 status, being able.
I just want to see more content, man. I just want to see way more content. If you take a look at the DigiByte hashtag on YouTube, you nowadays, that's maybe a good thing, but also maybe a bad thing. You nowadays get all of those, YouTube automation video guys that are making ridiculous videos about DigiByte with a lot of inaccurate information. If the DigiByte awareness team could post more, then the algorithm would be less clumsy with all the automation farming, so to say.
So you're saying basically that we do more presentations to kind of outweigh those presentations that's online that don't give the most accurate information. And I've seen those presentations, and a lot of times those just words, they just have a computer reading words. You're
exactly.
like, okay, that's not very informative. But
and I think that's something that the Digibyte awareness team can increase. But I think that also each and every one of us can just use the hashtag Digibyte in one of our videos if we can make a video, and just create better content. And I already see a lot of guys doing it, so it is improving. And previously we did not have those automation videos, so we can also kind of see that there's more attention to Digibyte as was before, but more quality content would definitely help, and on all different platforms, just everything.
And I think one thing about that real quick is that, can anyone hear me? I know that I might have some issues with my microphone. Is it okay?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's better now.
Okay. Yeah, just real quick, I think one thing that Digibyte has to do, and like my personal mission, is kind of separate Digibyte from the bigger, cryptocurrency. I think we'd be better off if we establish how we're different from the rest of crypto. And I think that comes down to education and one thing that I think we could really do is the propagation of the node network, especially open nodes, really explain better to people about mining and getting and a big goal is really to get RandomX and ProgPop back or into the Digibyte 2 of the 5 mining algorithms, and then people can really have hands-on mine at home experiences like they used to have. So that's my personal goal, but it kind of goes back to what you guys are saying about building that community, getting more signal, less noise, and just continuing the path that Digibyte's already been on for 9 years.
Yeah, awesome.
I see some guys here that has their hand raised. They should be able.
We got Jose and Javier. Jose, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, first, I wanted to wish everybody a happy birthday. That's an awesome accomplishment. Awesome. And then the other thing was that, you were asking about what could the Digibyte awareness team do to improve things. And I think you guys already mentioned it. I think Script said it. But I was going to say keeping the communication open and, having regular spaces, because that way, people can communicate, those ideas and, whether it's, in that open setting or a closed setting, the Digibyte comes together and is like, hey, remember this guy was talking about that, and let's look into that. So I think, just keeping, the people being able to communicate those ideas, and then you guys taking it back and just working on that and turning it into a real product. And Frank said something there about videos, and that was going to be my point. The one thing I was going to bring up was that I hear people talking about, and I seen it this morning with my DigiPassword, somebody asking about more recent tutorials. So that'll be my suggestion, for you guys. Like, hey, what kind of tutorials can you guys do to help out people that are trying to use the technology? So that's it. But happy birthday, everybody.
Thanks, Jose. Hey, Javier, you have something to say?
Yeah, just I've accidentally fallen into some of the conversations that sometimes Johnny Law and LT are having, and they're very informative. And if it were more scheduled and some of this information, maybe I'm not even supposed to be in on that information, I don't know. But it's hard to defend and to spread this knowledge without, I use Dave a lot. Dave whispers things in my ear. Not even whispers, just tells me different stuff about it. And I've tried to go out there and spread that news and actually even try to discuss it with other people. But the more aware that we are, the better we're going. And it seems like there's a separation between I'm not going to say separation. It's just a lack of communication with some of us that are a little more simple-minded in the community, to where we would know what's going on, or maybe a scheduled once a month, kind of something like this. I mean, we had a great turnout right now, and I think I'm wanting to help more, but I don't want to get too involved to where I can't explain myself. But congratulations to everyone, and happy birthday to us.
Hey, LT is up to you now.
Hey guys, happy Genesis Day. Well, technically it's not Genesis Day, it's the anniversary of one.
Yes.
Good friend pointed out to me, language matters. So anyway, I was just going to pipe in on some of the points here. I want to first start out by saying thank you, Shane, for pulling over on the side of the road with clearly with pulling so you can host a space of international people who don't know each other. So,
You're welcome.
you know, I really appreciate it, man. There are very few people that we can trust. And I know everyone's like, oh, it's just a community of y'all, look at each other, it's all okay. But I mean, the only way we can trust people like Shane to host these places and Michael and these admins that I think in the Telegram channel, but all the admins in the Meta, Discord, I mean, none of them are being paid. You know, I think people responding to messages at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just want to say thank you. And that is why this thing is 9 years old. And that is a dedication that I think it's really overlooked in the hype and the price. But thank you. So I just want to start with that. And you know, it's always a mistake to give me a freaking microphone, Michael. But as far as the awareness team, you know, like what can I do better? And I come from a little bit of a different perspective because I was in the awareness team very early on in this position. And like anything, everything evolves. You know, people leave, people come, people make stuff, people get mad, people celebrate. You know, it's like it's a mix of all of it. It really is. It's an evolution and it's a growing entity. You know. But the thing about the awareness team is that this entity has been growing for years. It means it has started marketing available to us. Its power could be really, really immense if it's used properly, you know. And I know there's a lot of grief of it doesn't do enough and there's not, you know, blah, 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 and there's all of the stories. This is what decentralization looks like. And so what the awareness team, you know, what should it do? I think it should start by first, like, reevaluating who are the active members in it, because I see, you know, 3 or 4 really active members out of the entire group, and it was just the minority there. We were doing Michelle was there. We were very active members in that group, you know, before we started the event. And, you know, you get like kind of this stage of, and I hear all the time, well, when the place goes up, we'll have more activity. Those aren't the people I want in the country, frankly, and we're in a war. You know, and so the people who are in the awareness team need to be active because they're sitting on a lot of power if they use it correctly. Because there's so much history. It could be turned around, but that has to come with accountability of the members and transparency of the members as well. That's my 2 cents of how it can be better.
Thanks, LT. I think accountability is important, especially even when you're volunteering. If you're going to be a part of something, they need to contribute. So I agree with you.
So, Scripps kind of here. How you doing? Love you. I really do believe that we could use all these media platforms as, you know, believers in the DigiByte blockchain, do our due diligence on the blockchain and the core fundamentals of it, and just be relative up to speed on, you know, some of the progressions and states and factions we have in the DigiByte community, and just be able to team up on a regular basis. So it'd be like, say for instance, like Meadow and Masters, and then Masters and Script and Meadow, and then back and forth between, like, on Dave's channel, Dave and Con, or, you know what I mean? Like, we need to do something together like that, tag team this media platform existence and just bring it back to the fundamentals of DigiByte blockchain, like a scheduled basis. I mean, as a community, as a whole.
I agree with you, Script. I think that teaming up to do presentations is a great thing. Again, different people doing the presentations, because if you do it, it might be a different feel, and then if I do it, it might be a different feel, and certain people might learn better through different ways of teaching. Some people are autodidact, some people are visual, and all of those things could come different through people who give the presentation. So I really want to see, I don't know, I had a dream about this, but I really want to see something where we can invite people to come. Like, for an example, if someone says, well, I'm not interested in cryptocurrency, well, on the third Thursday of the month, we have a meeting every third Thursday on YouTube. Feel free to come and ask questions about cryptocurrency, specifically DigiByte. I would love to see that, in that commitment to growing the community grassroots wise, because that's how we get people really, really involved. When they know what they have and they truly understand what they have, then they don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? They're not speculative. They just understand the future and what this technology is disrupting. But LT, go ahead.
Perfectly said, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I think I love that everybody's really like, yeah, education is like kind of a big deal, because we're all in new territory and it's changing every day, And I think the one thing I would say from my personal experience, and I've gotten this from Tate and several others I work with, is really trying to not so much like bring people in, but like ask people questions and try to get connected to that legacy world from a non-investment perspective, And this education of DigiByte, I think, is very important, and I think it needs to be, we've got a ton of work to do, guys, ton. And it needs to be organized and accurate, But I also think that, can everybody hear me okay, by the way?
We can hear you, but you can just move away from the mic just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Someone said they couldn't hear me tonight.
Yeah, I had some trouble hearing you as well.
It's muffled.
Is this better?
Perfect. Way better.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'm so sorry, guys.
You got the phone out of your mouth.
Screw you guys. But I'm happy it's 9 years. We're still here, and that's not nothing, But so back to the point of education, I think it's really important that we get better materials. I love what homes is. I mean, if we had an MVP, it's hard to pick an MVP. If I had to pick an MVP for myself over the last 3 months, I mean, it'd be really a hard pick. But Jose, man, thank you. I mean, I think we all owe you a debt of gratitude, because I think a lot of us are tired, and I've told you this before, when you got interested in tuning in with fresh energy and fresh ideas, it helped a lot, probably more than you'll ever know. It helped me stay motivated. So thank you for creating material, education material that you're trying your best to make sure they're accurate. And I love that about you. And that's going to be really important for all of us going forward, because this is decentralized, which means there's no copyright, there's no wants to go sue somebody for misuse. And we have to decide collectively what those use cases are and educate on those, but also educate on the fact that why are we all doing this? This is insane. Because we think that central bank digital currencies are going to be a problem. And that's what we need to all be better educated on, and then, get proper materials to educate on that concept as well.
I agree. I love the materials that's come out of the Alliance, especially that presentation that Michelle and I forgot forgot who else was with her. But in DC, they did the presentation, and it looked like a great presentation. It's just that, like I said, I come from network marketing, and PowerPoints are powerful. When someone can go through a PowerPoint that has all the facts and explain it in a way that gets people interested, it works. I've seen it work time after time. I've actually recruited at least 120 people using that same philosophy of duplication and replication. Go ahead, LT.
Well, and I just want to pop in on that, and I would be, how picky I can be myself. But I would be careful about using it when you're recruiting somebody. It's not a
I can't hear you again.
So you said it's not about recruiting. Okay, go ahead.
It's not. It's not like a recruitment. It's more like an education. It's not like we're not promising anything. We're saying, look, man, these are the problems that we see. These are the solutions we're all trying to work towards. If you want to help us, great. You can choose your path on what that means to you. And give them the education. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
And I would say that's one of the goals of the education committee is that we want to put together, PowerPoints that make sense in a learning way, so it's easy to understand, at least organized with bullet points, and then everybody can make their own flavor of those. And that's why we're posting those in the resources channel on Discord, because we want you to use them. We want to reduce the effort that it takes to participate. But, it's kind of like a trust thing, I guess, in a way. It's like, use this information well and use it to help us. Don't use it to, sell some group that you're going to Ponzi scheme into Digibyte. Use it well. Is our only request.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we all have to be on the same page, is what I'm getting out of this. If we can be on the same mindset, same page, and we're all reading the same work, then we should be successful.
Cheers.
I think something, and I've thought this for a long time, that is really important, because I've tried to communicate the principles and the fundamentals of Digibyte to those in my world locally, that to people that are just like me. And it's like, as you said, Script, you're here because of the principles and the fundamentals, and like you are just like me, and Jared is just like me, and everyone here believes in the same thing. We're here for the common cause, and we're here because we realize that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, possibly what may be coming down the road. And when speaking of the principles and the fundamentals to someone that's not in crypto, it's hard. The only difference between me and them is because I took the time to learn what was important, or between us and them. And when you begin to explain it, you actually need a lot of time to bring someone in. And, maybe they've heard of crypto, like, okay, well, it's filled full of scams. I've heard of Bitcoin, but and I began explaining it, and I read some people like, well, I'm not interested in any of that. And I'm like, well, okay, are you interested in being able to spend the value that you work for the way that you want? Are you interested in that not being canceled? I was like, well, what? And it goes deep, and it takes a while to actually explain it all to someone. So if we had something that would really, really simplify things, that would be great.
I can think of one thing. As I said, I bought something on CoinKit. I bought the Digibyte History book using CoinKit, and I think that one of the things I did with a friend of mine is not necessarily use Digibyte, but use CoinKit and send BTC as a kind of like a payment. When someone owes you money, you send them a payment, and you can also do those in DGB. So I think it's very easy if you both have a Twitter account, and let's say your friend, you owe your friends $10, then you would make a tweet, just send him $10 in Digibyte, and then they have some crypto, and they're also invested in Digibyte.
yeah, that could be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think we have really looked at the power of CoinKit. I know for me, I'm always ranked in the top one or two or three listed on the community for influencers, but it's only because I do $100 DigiByte giveaway a day. So it's because I do that is how I'm getting more exposure. So CoinKit, like you said, I don't think we looked at the possibilities behind that, but I do want us to focus kind of like what Script and Shane is saying, focus on how we can simplify a presentation that gives enough information for people to want to learn. I think that's what LT would like as well, to get people to want to learn, not necessarily recruit them into some type of club, but to recruit them into a mindset of wanting to learn more about what we're doing.
Yeah. Basically, how I tried to do it in the beginning, some of you older DigiByters know, that I literally tried to educate myself the best way I know how. Now we had some core people and leaders, back in 2018 through 2019, 18, 19, 20, that really did the best that we could ever ask for. But I just tried to do like what I always struggled with. How do I relate the DigiByte message? How do I relate facts, and make it kind of playful? Was to really just like energize. How do I reach the youth? Like put like images and songs, non-copyrighted songs and images together, where I can include DigiByte technology. And that's how I kind of started, and end up reading, recording myself, like kind of like Matthew from Cryptocurrently, Matt, reading articles about DigiByte and recording it, and just kind of like putting myself out there. I really did. Like that's all I did, and that's basically what everybody else was doing when I started noticing DigiByte. Not only the PowerPoints that Jared Tate was giving, and then the Amsterdam scene. It really is like, because I'm not one of those guys that brings everything together, all the pictures into one little pictures in one big picture with glue. I'm just not that guy. But I'm not a creator. I am a reactor. I do react off leadership, standing members in the community. I'm a supporter. I mean, I have put myself out there a few times, but and it goes back to what LT was saying, really holding like each other accountable or ourselves accountable, because we're literally putting like the future of blockchain technology on our lips, and we're literally putting it out there. And if we tarnish that, then it can jeopardize not just people investing in it, but just the very fact that we can't present it right. I've even had John Song, what we've talked many times, and DigiByte's highs and lows, and it was just really great to just sit down and talk to somebody that has the same kind of belief in DigiByte, and just reaching out and just having one-on-one conversations. Just that's how we going to basically create the glue and all that. It's like literally become friends and just talk, on the phone or through Telegram phone chat or whatever. It really helped me a lot when I was like being able to talk like the LT one-on-one, Jared one-on-one, Mike one-on-one, all you guys. We've probably had our times to just be able to just talk and really feed each other the correct information and to be supportive of the other members out there.
Agreed 100%. I think what you guys are coming down to, everything kind of flows from the source, like the foundation, and DigiByte is that peer-to-peer, it is money, but it's also so much more than that. So I think the peer-to-peer connections and how the community evolves in its own way through these personal connections that you guys are making makes a huge difference. I 100% agree with that. And that's something I think is
Tate just stepped up as a speaker.
Even over the past bear market, because there's a lot of responsibility intrinsically to the DigiByte awareness team, to people in the DigiByte community. I know money is not that important, but don't forget that DigiByte last bull market did cross the $2 billion market cap. And, with that, there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes on the community members that made that happen. And they may also be accountable in some form in the future. So we really have to take this seriously, not as nonchalantly as some of the other people in, quote unquote crypto do. I just wanted to add that.
Hello? Pablo,
Don't
hello?
everybody speak at once. But I see the real Jared Tate. Please stand up. Thank you guys.
Oh, Jared. Wow. Okay. I was just about to get off, but not anymore. Hey, Jared.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I've actually never used Twitter Spaces. I didn't realize I had to request and activate it.
Yeah.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've listened in on a few spaces, but this is a cool new community feature. So, first of all, I want to thank every single person in here for being here and for all that you do for DigiByte and for making DigiByte what it is. It's really, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection here on this 9th birthday, and it's kind of hard to believe it's been 9 years already. I look in the mirror and I got all these gray hairs on my chin now. That's why I shave. I'm certainly a lot of them are probably attributable to DigiByte. But as I'm sitting here listening to everybody, it's reinforcing what I have been feeling and thinking myself. And that is, I would argue that DigiByte is the fastest, most decentralized and secure and the best combination of all those in the world today. And has been for some time. And we've continued to improve it. And yes, there's a lot of improvements we could make. But our issue is finite time and resources. However, one thing that I would say my biggest regret has been over the last 9 years is I've never really sat down and articulated and written and presented the why. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from a lot of you that kind of feel the same way is, why are we here? Why are we doing this? And I think it's because we all have this kind of common sense of what can happen and unfold if we don't stick next to this technology and protect it. This technology has the power to free us, to free humanity, or to enslave us if it's in the wrong hands. And so that articulation, of why, and that's going to be different to for everybody. But, the reason I'm still here 9 years later is, I see what's happening in the world and the fact that, an institution like the Federal Reserve, an unelected group, has almost complete control and power over our everyday lives. And, some of the plans that different groups have, for our future, I don't want to be a part of that future. I want to help build a future for all of humanity where we all benefit and we all have a say in what's happening. And so I think my big takeaway, and that's why I wanted to listen, is, my biggest goal for this year is to do more videos, do more talks, get more engagement, be more engaged with the community. And it's actually easier in a bear market. As I was sitting here, I was remembering, when DigiByte started, we had a pretty good run up. 2014 was kind of a whirlwind for me. But by 2015, 2016, that bear market low, you had the Justice Department was going after a bunch of crypto people. We didn't know if crypto was even going to make it back in 2015, 2016. And I think at one point our market cap dipped to like $80,000. I mean, it was nothing. And within 2-3 years, it rocketed up. Yeah, I don't even know what it was. But the crazy part was, I'll never forget the day after John McAfee
eat his shoe.
made his I woke up and I had 110,000 notifications on my phone. And that was from
he was going to eat his
email.
penis.
It was just absolutely overwhelming.
And Hoskinson
at that time,
was going to eat his boot or shoe.
That were helping out, but out of all that chaos, because it did look chaotic, and all these people wanted to help and get involved with Digibyte, but there was nowhere to go to because it was decentralized. And I, as one person, was overloaded. Other people were overloaded, and out of that, this beautiful thing happened. All these groups, like the Digibyte Awareness Team, Digibyte Foundation, all these different groups started just stepping up and helping out, and I think that's been absolutely amazing. And so for me, it's just, sitting here listening to y'all, it's just absolutely reassuring and comforting. Like, yeah, okay, a lot of people may have left, but there are some amazing people here that really care about this. And they're like, hey, how can we change it? How can we do it? And now's the time to build. And to me, that's like more important than anything. And I just want to thank you all for that. So with that, I'll step off.
Thanks for speaking, Jared. I really appreciate you getting on the stage. I appreciate that. So, Michelle, I think you grabbed the mic. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I know this is my first space, so I don't even know how this works. But I love interacting with all of you on Twitter, and I am happy that the Alliance is getting close to our actual fundraising efforts. And hopefully that will be happening in the next couple months. We've had some underlying infrastructure issues with the implosion of the market. And just want to let you know we are definitely moving forward on that front. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting some funding to help with, development and education in a more serious way over the next year. And I just think that it's awesome that we have all of these different groups working to promote such a great technology that holds such promise for the world. And I'm okay with all these groups operating separately because I think it adds to the decentralized nature of our blockchain space. And obviously the Alliance will be sharing materials as they're created so that members of the community can go out there and use them to educate the world about what Digibyte can do. And honestly, there's so much it can do. It's really hard to distill, especially for people who have no knowledge of blockchain whatsoever. But I think as CBDCs become more of a reality, people are going to wake up and want to know, okay, what is this and what can I do differently? Because I think the whole PayPal debacle was definitely an early economic indicator for how the American country, anyway, will not tolerate a federal government monitoring every single transaction
Is that what she
in
said?
its daily life. And I think we need to be ready to be ready. We're getting ready to be ready, but we have a lot of work to do still. And I'm so happy that we have such a great community. I think we're going to get there by the time we need to get there. I think we probably are like a year or two out before the world really wakes up to what the World Economic Forum types have planned for, centralized control of everything. So it's, I really feel passionate about my work. I know I kind of stayed behind the scenes and I'm just doing all the administrative stuff, but I hope to become more active in the community as we get out there and start fundraising, and definitely having more frequent community meetings about what we're doing with the money we're raising. And our goal is full transparency, nothing, to the extent that we can with whatever agreements we have with other people that may be implementing the technology. We our goal will always be to keep the community informed so that you can then go tell your friends about what's happening in the world of Digibyte so that they'll become more curious about it. Another thing I think is really important is to get the younger generation, like the under 25-year-olds involved, because their energy is infectious, and TikTok.
I got a
is just-
$2,000 reward
if you
out
get
there for them
something
now.
viral on TikTok, I'm just insane what can happen over there. So I think that, focusing on maybe somehow, I don't know, recruiting college kids, focusing on those communities to get more young energy involved in our project might be something to think about going forward as well. And that's about it.
Miss Teen Crypto,
I'm
Generation
really looking
Z
forward
Challenge.
to 2023. I'm really optimistic about, the future of Digibyte. So thank you all, and we'll keep you posted as things develop.
Hey, Michelle, I never got a chance to speak with you, but I just want to say I'm a huge fan. Your tweets are always informative. You put a lot of effort into what you say, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really passionate about Digibyte not only being a currency, but for cybersecurity, kind of authentication and real use cases in business. And my background is, working for the State Department Office of Inspector General, which had oversight over all the embassies overseas and the State Department itself for security issues. So that's really what caught my attention about Digibyte when I first encountered it. And, obviously its basic underlying properties, which have the potential to provide protection in that regard. And I can tell you that during the presentation in DC, there were, a lot of people who were impressed and curious, and, we'll keep you posted to see if anything develops along those lines. But, one of the judges wanted to know what governments were using us. And it's like, well, nobody. You can. It's just, I feel like, we're developing our platforms, we're developing our messaging, and we need to crystallize that for when people, I do believe there's going to be a tipping point when the CBDCs come online, because people are going to be
March 2023.
I don't know
CBDCs
what's going to happen.
launch.
It's going to be interesting
Quarter
to watch.
1.
So,
yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I think you're right. Is we have a little bit of time, 6, 12 months, maybe 18 months to kind of get things in order, if you will. Not that they ever can perfectly be in order, but at that time, that's where we call, I guess, the major hockey stick inflection point, when most of humanity wakes up and says, oh no, this is not good for us. And if we're here and we're like, hey, here we are, here's the solution. We've been working on this for a decade. That's kind of always been in the back of my mind is the main event. And
yeah.
I've always known it was a few years off. But I want to thank you all in the Alliance for everything you're doing. It's awesome. So if I can do anything to help more, like I said, my goal for 2023 is to be as engaged as I can be with the community and
Cool.
Really to kind of get back to the roots of DGB.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. We are a work in progress, so we'll keep you posted on what we're up to. And as time goes on, we'll become more active. And we've been kind of quiet because, we haven't really started actively fundraising yet. So, but we will.
What are you going to be fundraising for?
So our main focus is development. We want to allocate resources to developers, and obviously having more developers around would be a good thing for our community, and education, and infrastructure support. Those are our 3 main areas of focus, which and getting into kind of corporate donation scenarios, because the 501c3 structure, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but in the United States, it's a very powerful tool that people use yearly to be able to make deductions on their taxes. And with crypto donations in particular, it becomes an interesting option, because when you have gains on your crypto, which isn't happening right now, obviously, but when the market resurrects itself, eventually people could donate their inflated value of whatever crypto asset they bought at 0.01 and it's now 10. And, you know, that collectively equals whatever. And they can donate that full amount and not incur any tax liability and deduct the full amount of that value.
So a non-profit organization.
To which we are, to DigiByte Alliance, yeah.
Sounds awesome.
So Fidelity Investments has been very successful in their crypto nonprofit arena. I think they've raised like almost $100 million through that. Obviously, we're not Fidelity Investments yet, but it becomes an attractive vehicle for people to donate to causes they care about through crypto.
It really, Michelle, I'm glad you spoke up on that, because I've noticed that myself. I don't know, started 2 years ago donating to the DigiByte Awareness team before I was a member. And when I became a member, you were there. And I saw this transition, you know, of the old DigiByte Awareness team moving up in the world, you know what I mean?
Well, I think we have a lot more movement to go to compete against the projects with, you know, like Algorand. I think they have like $1 billion or something. I mean, but as we know, it's all centrally funded money that came out of thin air from an ICO or whatever they did. And I think also we will be getting more attention when hopefully we are somehow formally designated as a commodity, if that ever happens. I think we're one of the few that will be getting that designation.
Of course, that would be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading something the other day that I think pretty much all crypto is deemed a commodity. It's just whether that they're also a security. And hopefully the regulations will clarify that, and that when that happens, that also could be another accelerant to an awareness around our blockchain. So between the commodity designation, hopefully, and the CBDC shit show that's coming, like, I really think that we need to get ready to be ready. Like we're at a tipping, or almost, like my inner whatever instinct.
Definitely.
It's go time.
I'm sensing a gravitational pull as well.
Are you guys sensing that?
Definitely. And that's why I think we definitely should be working on building parallel structures with the DigiByte community.
Yeah, like I said, we are obviously already sharing the materials we have generated. I haven't shared fully the presentation we gave in DC. We've shared a couple slides. I think the one that we shared fully, that was at a separate presentation I gave at the crypto group I'm in Boston. But yeah, so we will, you know, and the other thing that DigiByte Alliance hopes to do one day is have enough money to give grants to the community that they can apply to get funding to, you know, support community initiatives that people want to, you know, undertake for the DigiByte community.
Hello, Michaela. I want to add few points to that.
Sorry, what?
I want to add few points to that.
Yeah.
So hi guys, I'm from India and I'm a software developer. I really love DigiByte. So initially I used to use Bitcoin to transact and I used to pay so much fees. Later I came to know regarding this DigiByte, and the two things which I really love about DigiByte is the transaction speed and transaction fees. Like it's literally nothing which I pay. Thank you, Gerard, for working on this. Thank you, team. And I want to bring up few points regarding development. So as a developer, like if I want to contribute something to the code or something, initially what I'm stuck at is I need some knowledge transfer from few developers who have already worked on it. That is one point which I can bring up. And yeah, I think only that. Thank you guys for letting me speak.
Yeah, absolutely. That's much heard. I realize one of our weak points is not having thorough and widespread developer documentation. And that's something we should definitely, and I know I want to work 2023. So thank you for that. And thanks for leaving it Digibite.
I wanted to touch on something that Michelle just said about the grants for community initiatives. I think it would be really cool if we could have like maybe that the Digibite awareness team or the foundation should do that, or maybe just community members by themselves. But if someone wants to make like a marketing schedule for Digibite or a marketing section, that they could just post like, oh,
Jared don't like marketing
schedule that I need someone to work on for this many hours and this many Digibite, kind of like bounty hunting or something.
Yeah, we have had bounties in the past, both for development and other initiatives. I think, and Michelle, if you're still here, if you could elaborate on this, I think maybe we'll see a return to that. But bounties have a way of causing a lot of drama, especially when the goals are more abstract and less defined. Anyone have any input on that?
I'd like to speak to this.
Yeah, I think in the past few years, we've certainly seen a lot of bounties and, some more development happening in the community, which has been really great. I mean, the community has banded together, fund a lot of the efforts that we were kind of hoping to get addressed. And that worked well for a while. And I think, it's great to see the community be able to kind of come together and do that. But I think everyone, a lot of people here have experienced what's happened in the near past, which is, with the development that's happening with, 8.22. And, it really needed something a little more organized and a little bit more structured to get that done in a way that, obviously works for the core developers, Jared, Yoshi, Gary, Frederick. And, it wasn't working out optimally, let's just say. So it's great that we have now, these new, guidelines that are in place, and also Rosetta now that's being introduced. We worked hard on that. And to answer, what is this, Sai Char, the developer from India?
Yeah, you can call me Sigiri.
Sigiri. So, and then that's one of the things that, we are focusing on, making sure that the developers out there who want to build on Digibite have access and have a way or means to just easily plug into Digibite and start coding in the languages that they're familiar with. Being around and tested, but hopefully, in future, it becomes a good tool set for developers like you to use. I just think it just needs to next evolution so that it could be used much more widely. Obviously, when 8.22 does get released, it's going to need to be upgraded as well. But, right now it's a big stepping stone for us, because we didn't have that. That was a problem for everybody. We didn't, the developers are not very readily available because they have their own day jobs. So you can't just go to a channel and expect to get instantaneous answers to your questions. So it becomes frustrating for a lot of developers, right? Because they're used to going to a room and just people chiming in and getting answers. But for Digibite, it's very different. It's a grassroots. Everyone's a volunteer. No one gets paid. So hopefully, with the Rosetta implementation, it'll kind of pave the way for more developers to kick the tires and come in and try to see how they could add value and use Digibite for their own benefit. And hopefully, we hope that it evolves to that someday. So that's to answer your question. There's not a real easy answer to get developers like you more information. But we are working on trying to get that problem resolved and to provide more tools for guys like you. And we appreciate that you guys are definitely looking and interested in, on Digibyte as well.
Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I just want to add something in the tool parts. I think it's great that Digibyte has a consistent work and the form of coding that maintains the same style as other UTXO coins. 2 years ago, when I started working with Digibyte, I mostly used Bitcoin documentation because it was so similar that it allows me to create everything here. I noticed with time that there's some lack of tools to work with Digibyte. So that's where main central point of failure is. Sure, REST API, it's a great source to pull data from blockchain. I remember in my early days, I used the block explorers that are out there from the different wallets. But also what is needed, it's the part of the development kits for different language. There's some out there for JavaScript and PHP and others. And that's, I think, one of the important parts that we need to provide developers to help them to implement the UX in other environments. Myself, I've used to publish a library in JavaScript to try to help with that, but I think that more work is required in that part.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, I'm sure we've seen a lot of the work that you've been doing. It's pretty amazing. It's great, Renzo. But if you have, kind of any recommendations to update toolkits or, kind of help with getting our development in a way where we can actually get more people interested in working on it, that'd be amazing. And I see in the community right now with Ollie, he's building these, scripts to, install nodes now, and we're having conversations with him about the test environment. It's been somewhat neglected. Well, I don't want to use the word neglected, but it hasn't been a great environment or a stable environment. So, there's a whole bunch of people getting together, volunteering, asking what it's going to take to become a test seed or test node, and they're willing to, kind of put up infrastructure and things like that. It's amazing to see. So if you have any suggestions, chime in and let us know. And obviously, if it's something that that makes sense to put in the roadmap, sure, I think that would be a great benefit to hear from you.
Yeah, I want to double down on that and speak both to Renzo. The work you and Ollie are both doing is really the future of Digibyte, in my opinion. And I'm less familiar with yours, Renzo, but for everyone that doesn't know, Ollie has released the DigiNode tools, which really lets you run a Digi asset server as well as a DigiNode on a Raspberry Pi, have it up as a server. You could SSH in from a separate and control it, check the status. And I think one thing I'd like to see is more of that community engagement at the technical level. Because that will not only strengthen the social connections we have and that community power that Digibyte has, but it would also concretely increase the security of the network and the decentralization and strengthen us in that sense as well. So thank you, Renzo, for your work as well. And do not be about requesting things, letting it be heard and everything, because we really are to aid developers and people that can progress the chain in any which way that they want,
Can you guys hear me?
100%.
Speaking of development and A22, since Jared is here, I don't know if you mind just kind of updating us what's happening and what is there current testing that has to be done, or is there some kind of problems we're facing to move forward, and just just in general, what's going on with that?
Yeah, no, I was hoping this question might come up. Yeah, to answer your point, 8.22, it's been, as was mentioned earlier, with everything that's happened over the last couple of years, we really have arrived at a much more robust development process that has, in my opinion, kind of taken us to the next level, which is good, moving forward to the future. So with that being said, the other issue is we still have limited time and resources because none of us are getting paid. And with the current market conditions, I know for myself personally, I've had a lot of personal issues I've had to deal with the last 6 months that has really taken pretty much all my time and energy and focus. So I haven't been able to work on it, but there is work that's being done. The biggest issue right now, first of all, I've been using that wallet for 6 months now. However, in that process of using it, I've identified a couple more bugs. One of the biggest issues that's keeping us from releasing a test version is the replace by fee bug. And what that is there was this feature in Bitcoin that basically you could submit a transaction, and if you didn't have a high enough fee and the transaction was pending for 4, 5, 6 hours, you could replace that transaction in the mempool and increase the fee. Well, with Digibyte, because we have such low fees and such quick block times, we've never had a need for replace by fee. So it was, basically the other devs suggested, hey, why don't we pull it out? So we did. However, that introduced a bug that actually has been an issue with basically the UTXOs being joined, and we've been trying to get to the bottom of that. I need to write up a formal definition and then put that out there. That's one of my goals to do here in the next week or two. With that, I would say it's pretty well done. However, there are a handful of minor issues that we would like to get corrected before we get that release out. The next issue, though, is because we've been working on this for so long, and it is a massive update. I mean, we're talking, I can't remember how many 100,000 lines of code. It's the biggest update we've ever done because basically we took several versions of Bitcoin over the period of like 3 or 4 years and merged a lot of those changes at once. Oh, excuse me. And that caused a lot of issues because, here we are 9 years later since the original fork from the Bitcoin core repository. So, we've made a lot of changes over the last, especially the first 7 years. And so that's kind of caused a lot of pain points. And it's to the point where I personally believe instead of trying to, bring the entire, latest version of Bitcoin in and just merge it and see how it works, I believe, and other developers believe too, that the code base should be independent. And from, after 8.22, when there's a really innovative new feature that we can use, yeah, we'll bring that in, sure. But Bitcoin's getting to the point where, there's, without going into detail, some changes that Bitcoin's making that I don't agree with, or I don't think is beneficial, or probably wouldn't be beneficial for Digibyte, or would interfere and cause issues. The biggest pain points that we ran into is since we are multi-algo, and we had, for instance, the other big issue we're running into is Dandelion. There's a reason that Dandelion was never integrated into Bitcoin Core. And in fact, the Bitcoin Core devs ran into a bunch of issues and basically abandoned the introduction of Dandelion into Bitcoin Core. And because of all the refactoring that's been done in the Bitcoin Core code base over the last 3 years, it pretty well completely, I don't know, how do I say this? You basically had to rewrite. We've had to rewrite Dandelion completely to make it backwards compatible. So that's kind of been the biggest issue, over the last, basically year now, I guess. Time flies. It's crazy. But, that and like, yeah, as was mentioned earlier, we all have day jobs. So I would love to be able to just sit all day long and code on Digibyte. Unfortunately, I personally can't afford that at this point. And neither can the other core devs. But, it's a work in progress. So that's kind of where that's at. I am planning on doing a more detailed video where I can show you some GitHub stuff. I'm going to try and get that out in the next couple of weeks and answer more details. But, long story short, to be completely honest, every hard fork Digibyte's done has gotten significantly harder and taken more time because there's more nodes, there's more people involved. And the size of the network, even though the market cap may not be what it was, the amount of services and platforms that are supporting Digibyte, is just exponentially larger than the last hard fork we carried out. And that's going to continue to be the case. So realistically, if we were going to do another hard fork in the future, and I know I'm kind of conflating hard fork and version 8.22, and those are separate, by the way. We're not really planning on a hard fork in 8.22, but then again, it's not up to me. That's the community consensus. But my point is, it's exponentially harder to make changes, especially big changes, to Digibyte as time goes on. And I mean, that's well demonstrated with Bitcoin. I mean, I would argue Bitcoin's almost to the point where you can't make any major extreme changes, barring, let's say, a quantum computer that starts cracking private keys. Obviously there would be an overnight worldwide effort to integrate new cryptographic algorithms into Bitcoin and Digibyte. And I think that will happen at some point in the next 5, 10, 15 years. But yeah, anyway, any more other questions? I guess I can.
So no algo swaps?
Well, what was mentioned earlier about ProgPow and RandomX, I started as a GPU miner mining Bitcoin in 2012, right? And I started, Digibyte. I would love to get Digibyte back to have everyday people be able to sit at a desktop and mine Digibyte. I would absolutely love that. The unfortunate reality is here we are 9 years later. We've made multiple algo swaps in the past, and every time we do it, it works for a while, but it's an arms race. And, it got to the point where, even in a few weeks, a few months, I would see hardware released for other coins that did that. So, you basically, going back to my original point, to make a hard fork now would probably require a year and a half of effort, even if we started right now. And that's just being realistic, because you have to not only do the coding, test it, get everything working. In an optimistic window, we might be able to do that in 6 months. But realistically, with the new changes, development process, more reviews, it's probably going to take a little longer. Then once it's out, you probably need to give people at least 6 to 12 months just to upgrade, once all the coding work's done. So it's just not an easy process for an algo swap. Plus, there's a lot of dangers. And this has kind of been, I've never been against it. My thing has been, okay, if we can do the work, we can get it done, we can thoroughly test it, it's secure, I'd be all for it, right? But then the actual risk of the hard fork itself, that is the riskiest point, because, every time we've hard forked Digibyte, there's been unintentional bugs that have been introduced. And the same thing has happened with Bitcoin and other cryptos. It's just a fact of nature. So the question is, where should the time and effort for development be spent, right? And this is kind of the cycle that we get into, new tech, new algos, new features. Well, the reality is 90% of the people don't care or don't understand it. So it kind of goes back to my original point of, why are we all here to begin with? If we go all the way back to day one with Satoshi did this to give us as people a financial freedom outside the control of banks. And so, should we focus on explaining it to people, using what we have, and then building out actual use cases? I think so. And that's kind of my regret, is not focusing on actual platforms and use cases that, make Digibyte stupid easy. But the reality is both need to happen. We need to have the core level development, and we need to have real world use cases and applications, but that requires resources, people, and we got to do what we got to do with what we got. So.
Thank you for that, Jarek. That was good. Yeah, it's very complicated. The whole process, if you guys are unfamiliar, the whole process to actually upgrade the network, especially with a hard fork, I mean, it requires manpower, on the ground level. Like, you have to contact these mining pools, you have to contact the exchanges, you have to contact the groups, and really introduce those changes. So that is something to be aware of. One question, Jared. How about the new DIP proposal mimicking BIP? How's that going to change Digibuy? Would you mind sharing if you have any insight?
Well, first, to go back to the manpower effort, I just wanted to reinforce that. You know, when we did the SegWit upgrade in 2017, it took us, and keep in mind, in 2017, this was before the fall run-up. I think in the spring of 2017, our market cap, I mean, it wasn't even $1 million.
Right.
I mean, and it was just, the whole industry was 100x smaller. It still took us 4 months of contacting platforms, exchanges, and wallets to get enough people to upgrade to do the SegWit activation. And then that was in 2017. And not only did a handful of us developers work full time, but there were, several people in the community that were just doing the legwork and doing the communications and talking and stuff. And then again in 2019, there were way more people involved, and it took even longer. And it's just one of those things, like I said, every successive time we've upgraded, released a new wallet, or done a hard fork, it's been more complicated and it's taken longer. And that's just the nature as more people and more platforms and the network grows. And that's going to continue, like I said. And what was your second question? I'm sorry.
I was just going to go about the DIP, which mimics the Bitcoin's BIP, I think Bitcoin implementation proposals.
I've seen it. I've heard of it. I honestly haven't taken a couple hours and just thought through it and evaluated it. So I'm not going to comment on that at this point, just because I don't want to be speaking about something I don't fully understand or know. And I don't want to, I've realized in the past I've said things that, and actually I kind of wish we had Twitter Spaces on a few of these occasions so I could explain myself a little bit more. Primarily, for instance, with the algo swap. I have never, ever said I'm not for another mining algorithm swap. I've never said that. What I have said is I'm against something that isn't secure and threatens to basically, either destroy or cause significant harm to the network. Maybe not intentionally, but for instance, untested code or unproven, balancing. Basically something that's just not well documented, tested, thought through, and understood, right? Because it's just extremely dangerous. And I realized that if the network were to collapse or to fail, or for people to start losing money in transactions due to a faulty upgrade, my head's probably one of the first ones on a pike if people start losing money. So that's always kind of the background of my mind, and that's the lens that I look at things through is, how is this going to affect the security and overall stability of Digibyte? Can we do this safely? Can we do this securely? And is the net benefit worth the risk? Because every time we have hard forked, we have been attacked at the point of the hard fork. There's been numerous groups out there that have tried to 51% attack the network at the point of exact minute of the hard fork. It's just a fact. And attempted double spends. Like I said, every hard fork, we've had those attacks.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point to make. And in regard to the development side and the algorithm upgrades, yeah, I definitely agree. And to tie it back to like the community and what everyone in this chat could get away from this for sure is like one thing I've noticed, especially last bull market going into a bear market, like the actionable items and the people in the community. One thing that's a good thing to remember at this point, at the bottom of the market, is that everyone's interactions on Twitter, on the Reddit, on Discord, on Telegram do make an overall difference.
And I think we really saw the community implode in one of the worst fashions just recently, 2021. And I think where we're at now, it's good to remember if we want to call this the baseline, because it can always get worse with these decentralized networks and communities. But I'm really happy with how this space has gone up. Just a reminder, anyone can speak. If you guys want to talk about something, introduce a topic or anything, feel free. Other than that, the floor is still open.
You know, I just want to kind of touch on the community aspect. And, you know, for those that may be new to Digibyte, you know, I would say that the first 5 or 6 years, you know, were pretty darn good in terms of community cohesion and effort and everybody working towards a common goal and purpose. And that's something I personally am trying to do my best and to do my part to help recreate, you know, moving forward. And, you know, I told myself on New Year's Day, I'm like, you know, 2023, that's the year of Digibyte's rebirth. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it, to stay positive and optimistic. And, you know, I acknowledge the fact that I was certainly part of, you know, the division and issues that happened over the last 2 or 3 years. And I own up to that. And that's one of my, you know, New Year's resolutions to change, is to be more unifying and forward focused and positive. But I'll also say pretty much every community out there in crypto has had that moment where massive division and eruptions happen. And with Bitcoin, that ended up in basically the creation of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. With Ethereum, that ended up with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. You've seen that in several networks. And so, you know, the fact that, you know, we still have one unified Digibyte blockchain, which unifies us all, even if we have differing perspectives, beliefs, you know, ideas. That's kind of the cool part about it, is everybody's entitled to believe and think what they do. But I really do see the awesome potential of a bear market, as crazy as that sounds, to, you know, kind of be the time where we do communicate more, we do reach out, we do start talking, we do start collaborating, and different groups are formed and real work gets done, because there's not all the distraction from the, you know, the chaos and hype of a bull run. And that's where I really see our opportunity right now. So, yeah, anyways, with that being said, I'll step off, and you guys can put me down for speaker unless anybody else has any questions for me. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, Jared, I just want to say thank you for being who you are, never changing. I mean, you are one of the reasons why I'm here, and just being able to be here and just see everyone here. I mean, you are the beginning foothold of this baby, and I'm just glad you're here, and that you're not like someone hiding in a dark hole in some place, controlling everything. You know, you're a transparent dude, and we've always loved you for that. And you're not afraid to tell it how it is. And just thank you for all the information and love that you give to us. And yeah, the old saying goes, you know, it's shaking out. This market's shaking out the weak hands. You know, in the imposters and the pretenders. And yeah, we're here. We're literally the baseline of this thing. And well, I just definitely want to lift you up, man. And just thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. Although, like I said, it's not about me. It's about, you know, everybody else. That's what makes it decentralized. And to tag on to something that was said earlier about, you know, sharing information and planning what's going on. What's absolutely been amazing to me over the last 2-3 years, you know, this last bull cycle, I was learning new stuff every time I looked at Twitter or checked messages. And a lot of times I had no idea things were going on because the community had grown that large and there's that many different groups. And that's the way it should be. There should be no one central person that knows everything that's going on. You know, you should have all these different groups and people working on their own thing, because the reality is anybody can step up, start working on Digibyte, start marketing Digibyte, start building on Digibyte, start building platforms. You don't need any permission, and you can do it your own way. You can do it your own unique way, describe it however you want. And that's the awesome part about it. And it's truly been humbling to see how that's come together worldwide for everybody. So.
Well, Jared, you know, when a while back when I was asked to do like a little tiny like show, you know, the Digibyte Com Talk, I literally had to talk to peers like John Song here, Laura, Crypty Girl at the time. I literally had to talk to some people and like, do I really want to do that? Because all I was doing was just doing my thing, But doing that got me to meet you, not in person, but I mean, it was just absolutely, I was actually shell shocked. I know you said it, it's not just you here, but yeah, I just want to thank you for just stepping out, and I'm sure you do that for anybody. Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of guts for me to just do any of that, and I just want to thank you for being just a real dude.
Well, like I said, thank you for stepping up and making videos and helping out and doing what you're doing, and thanks to everyone else too. That's the brilliant thing is that Digibyte really is a grassroots, community-driven project, and I was kind of laughing. I was having a conversation with my parents and my family over Christmas. They're like, "How's crypto?" Kind of rubbing it in because they knew the market and everything was pretty down. And I'm like, "Well, actually, here it is. Everything's kind of gone down, and I haven't got a single death threat. It's like it's doing pretty good. Like, in previous bear markets, 2017, 2018 was absolutely horrible." But now it's like, I'm like, there's all these optimistic people out there about Digibyte that believe in it, and they're still being positive and working on stuff every day. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's really, really cool to see that, people are getting it, like, why we're here and what we're working towards and working together on it. And that just makes me happy. And that's why I'm still here. So thank you.
All right. Jose, you have your hand up. Go ahead. Yeah. I wanted to, Frank asked me a question in the comment box about the algo swap. So I think some of the people in the audience don't understand what was meant by the ProgPow and the Random X. And so Frank, what they were talking about, and I think your question was asking if there was something wrong with the algos. It's not that there's something wrong with the algos. It's that the original intent was to keep mining decentralized, so you can mine with ASICs, GPU, FPGA, CPU, and because the mining machines have all kind of been converted to ASIC, it's non-profitable to mine with CPU, GPU, and even FPGAs because the ASICs are basically just meant to push out that hash power. And it's not profitable to mine with those algos. So it's not that there's something wrong with them. It's just that the community wants the mining decentralized, so that regular people at home can mine with their computer and stuff like that. So if anybody else has anything on that, and if that answers your question, Frank.
It makes sense. Thanks. But does it mean that it's not profitable in comparison to the ASICs, or it's just really like not profitable at all?
I could get into that. So that was very good. Thank you for bringing that question up. I didn't see it. The thing about mining is that it is intrinsically like a business. Everyone that mines is in it competitively, and they're in to make a profit. Jared actually mentioned this about how we had different algorithms that would mine different components, but eventually they just fall to the wayside to ASICs. And the core reason of that is because these ASIC computers are simply just computers that are optimized, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they're just optimized specifically to compute those functions that those hashing algorithms employ. So the issue is that what happens is, like for Digibyte, for example, it was the Skyne algorithm that allowed you to GPU mine most recently. That algorithm was, in a sense, not hacked, but it was just evaluated, and they've released computers that just outcompete your graphics card. But the thing is that, of course, those computers then are very specific, and they can't be used for GPU functions. That's I think the crux of it. But yeah, does that answer that? There's nothing wrong with the algorithms themselves. It's simply just the work that would be done and the effort taken to change it may not be worth it, or we're just not at that stage yet.
Well,
did anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So, those answers are definitely, pretty good. So just without getting overly technical here, the original algos that Digibyte had with 5 mining algorithms were based upon the SHA competition that was created by the U.S. government. This group called NIST, the National Institutes of Standards and Technology. They're the ones that define how top secret encrypted information is handled. The algorithms that Digibyte originally launched with were the finalists in that competition. Part of the criteria for that competition was that the algorithm design would be conductive and easy to design ASIC chips for. So an ASIC chip stands for Advanced Systems Integrated Chip, I believe. I might have one of those words wrong. But basically, it's a computer chip that only processes a mathematical algorithm, and that's it. That's all it's good for. Like, for instance, SHA-256 algorithm, so that's one of our algos. It's also Bitcoin's mining algorithm. The only thing you can do with a Bitcoin miner electronically, besides mine Bitcoin or Digibyte or a handful of other cryptos, is basically use it as a paperweight or a boat anchor, because it's pretty well worthless if you wanted to use it for any sort of other computing function. So with that in mind, all of the proposed and ProgPal, RandomX, all these other algorithms are some conjunction of previously mathematically researched algorithms that were typically a part of that SHA-3 competition or this most recent competition where new algorithms were released. And so, developers will take them because, the extensive process of creating an algorithm, a proof of work algorithm, is exhaustive. I mean, that competition went on for 5 years, and there were PhD mathematicians from all over the world that were evaluating them and competing them. So to get that level of expertise and critique on super complex mathematics, it's not something your random average dev can just whip up and put together. So most of the other cryptocurrencies that have got, supposedly new innovative mining algorithms, we're just basically taking 2 or 3 of these finalists and combining them together, and then they just give it a new marketing brand name and combine it, right? And it's kind of the basis behind a lot of these proposals. The problem with that is you can still build an ASIC chip for it. And, Bitcoin found this out in the early days. I remember I was mining literally a half a Bitcoin a day in 2012. And when the first ASICs hit, I went from a half a Bitcoin a day to literally, I calculated it would take me 6,000 days to get another Bitcoin. That literally a week's time. That's how much the difficulty skyrocketed. And so if you go through the process, take a year and a half, develop the code, roll it out, introduce systemic risks to the blockchain that will be attacked at the point of the hard fork, guaranteed, you basically find yourself in a situation where hardware manufacturers, often within weeks, if not months, will roll out another ASIC. I'm of the opinion right now, there is not a single ASIC-proof mining algorithm out there that couldn't be, if the economic incentive is great enough, you will have an ASIC developed. So the question is, you go through all this effort to change the algorithm, and then 6 months from now, you're back in the same scenario.
That quick question, Jared.
Yeah.
So ties into exactly what you're talking about. The AutoCrypt algorithm was pushed out to have that exact effect, not have an ASIC competition, an FPGA, which is a different type of hardware that programs motherboards, if I'm not mistaken. And within, I'd say like about 6 months of being launched, there was one single pool that was taking in the majority of the rewards on that algorithm, which I believe still stands today. And is that because an ASIC was developed and mines on that algorithm? I think is a simple way to ask that question.
So this actually brings up the next point that I was about to get into. One of the cool things about Digibyte is it is truly decentralized. One of the frustrating things about Digibyte is it is truly decentralized,
and it's pretty well impossible to get accurate mining data and an up-to-date snapshot on who, what, and where is actually mining. And that's something I've been digging into for a couple years now, trying to figure out. I can tell you that there have been state-sponsored, funded hardware mining Digibyte from different countries. Literally, I'm not going to reveal what I guess. I mean, basically, there's been funding inside China. There's been funding inside Russia. There were ASIC miners developed at the same place that developed Russia's nuclear weapons that specifically were mining Digibyte. But none of this information has been revealed publicly because these miners don't want to reveal their edge and their advantage. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we are right now. And when you look at the data, it's kind of like a black hole. We know we're about 50-60% of the miners, but I don't even know what hardware they're using.
Well, that's in theory. It's like, did a company that manufactures FPGAs create a new piece of hardware and is keeping it secret? If I go out and buy a public FPGA that is sold to the public and available, and I start hashing on that algorithm, it will not compete with that pool that is out there. And you can go see where those rewards are going. You can see that it's going to one single miner. And
one address. I mean,
the question is somebody is dominating the AutoCrypt algorithm. That's right.
So that brings up another thought and a point, and this has kind of been the argument that the Bitcoin devs have made since day one is, well, as long as Bitcoin is the global dominant hash rate for this mining algorithm, we're safe. That's kind of been their, every time you debate it with them, that's their rebuttal. And to a degree, that's kind of true, because once again, remember, if you don't, if you can't mine with those Bitcoin miners, those SHA-256 miners, they're pretty well worthless, right? Well, Digibyte, as far as I know, the last time I looked at the data, we were the global dominant hash in 3 of our 5 algorithms, which is good for security and longevity, but then it sucks because you have these centralized entities that are able to dominate. Now, the question is, what is that centralized entity? I don't know. I mean, is it just an actual pool, or is it a giant farmer? Is it a manufacturer? Is it some group in China that has, a 10-story warehouse stacked to the ceiling with FPGAs? There's a real possibility that could be it, but I don't know because nobody's ever disclosed it. So, just to clarify, I'm not a fan of that. In fact, as I've thought through this scenario, talked through this scenario with people, how do we mitigate this? How do we really get away from it? Well, the real, and when I say this, I'm going to preface this is an idea and something I've had discussions with, but no work has been done on it whatsoever. I've always been attracted to the idea of a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. So, for example, we keep the 3, or, maybe, in a way, I would argue our SHA-256 algorithm is actually probably our fairest and most decentralized, because at least people kind of understand what hardware is there. They can compare it, and they can have different pools and options, whereas the other ones, we don't. But I've always thought that a hybrid proof of work / proof of stake, where we keep, say, 3 mining algorithms, and then we replace 2 of them with like a staking function, where people, are incentivized to hold Digibyte. They keep their wallets open, they keep the wallet running, and they get rewarded for that. So the average person can still earn just from running on their computer. And to me, that has always been the end goal, is how can we make the distribution of newly minted Digibytes fair to where anybody, with reasonable hardware could contribute and participate. I mean, to me, that's the home run and the ultimate vision. The question is, how do we get there?
That would also make it a security in the U.S., but there is.
Well, and then
this is way years down the road, and that technology does come to fruition. That would be nice, hypothetically. But I think the census and what most people would agree on is that they would like a algorithm that mines with a GPU, because that is the most easily accessible hardware that people can gain access to.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. The question is just, how long will that even last? That's the real concern, because, we how many we've made multiple algo changes now. But yeah, it's but like I said, I'm not opposed to any algo swaps. My biggest thing is, it needs to be tested, reviewed, and well understood, and everybody needs to be on the same page and moving forward. But the danger of that process is because we would obviously be so public and transparent with which algorithm we're switching to, the code, everything, and because of the amount of time it takes to do the algo swap, by the time we actually got to the point where we did the algo swap, they could already have hardware sitting in a warehouse ready to turn on.
One thing I'd like to add is, we're talking about DigiByte as it stands now. One of the things I've always thought is the best thing we could do is just raise DigiByte's profile, have it to the profile of Bitcoin or Ethereum. And if we achieve that, the mining landscape and everything would change completely. It would be much more competitive and probably more distributed as well, but we never know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's actually what I've responded to a lot of people. I'm like, if we go out there and we raise awareness for DigiByte, we go out there, we get more people using DigiByte, we get more people building on DigiByte, and we raise DigiByte's profile publicly, these other problems go away because the economic incentive is there for other miners to start being creative and innovative and figuring these things out. And I think that's a really good point. And then it goes back to time and resources. Do we want to spend the next year and a half, 2 years focusing on a technical algo upgrade that maybe 5% of people are even going to care to understand? Or do we want to go out and build real-world useful applications that people can use, make their lives better, and they don't even really need to know the underlying technical details? And that's where I'm at, is let's focus on raising awareness, building use cases, and bringing DigiByte to the forefront of public attention at a very critical time in world history. And these other problems, are mitigated and become less of an issue as time goes on.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we've kind of really laser focused ourselves on the discussion of algorithms. But it's DigiByte's birthday, and there's so much more we haven't touched on. Does anyone want to bring up a topic that they've thought about, or think is important? How about ideas on what the community can do again, or the role of the DigiByte awareness team, or any general questions about the landscape? Does anyone have any questions or anything along those lines?
And with that being said, I'll go ahead and step down because I don't want me to take over the session. I want this to be about DigiByte and the community. So unless anybody has any other specific questions, I'm just going to step down, but I'll be listening. So once again, happy birthday, everybody, and thank you all for what you do and being here.
And Jared, just thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate it for sure.
Yeah. Jared, can you speak about how this all came about? I know you were in the forums back in the day, in Bitcoin forums, and the fact that they didn't want or didn't listen to what you had to say, and
Correct.
That's how DigiByte came about. But can you get in more in detail the reasons why you think they didn't want any of your proposals?
Well, I guess the first, just to kind of preface, and I'll make this quick, the reason why that I even got into Bitcoin and crypto in the first place is, I was going into my junior year of college in 2008. The markets collapsed, the economy collapsed, everything crashed. I had to drop out of school. I remember applying for 300 jobs, wouldn't even get a response during the great financial crisis. It was a rough time. I literally found myself getting evicted because I couldn't pay rent. And I'm like, what is this banking system? Why is it messing up? And I started researching the Fed, researching everything. And that eventually led me to discover Bitcoin. Well, when I discovered Bitcoin, I was like, hey, I think this could be better. I think it could be faster. Why is the block time only 10 minutes? Why is it so set in stone? There's improvements that can be made. And basically, I started working on some prototypes, forked the repository, changed some things, started modifying things. And eventually I came up with this idea, but I'm like, if I really want to know if this is going to work to make a better, faster, more secure version of Bitcoin, I think I probably need to launch, a prototype to prove it. And then I can say, hey, look, this works, check it out. And so that's kind of the long, short summary. The day, I remember back, I launched it, I was in Idaho, Mountain Time. And I had done a pre-countdown launch. I think like 7 days before I put on Bitcoin Talk, there was a counter, a timer, basically, when it was going to launch. And yeah, I think there was a couple minute delay. Back then, I think I was uploading the source code to SourceForge, and it was basically before GitHub. GitHub was just getting started. And what's the platform that Kim.com ran? Mega Upload. So the first code and versions of Digibyte were actually uploaded to Mega Upload. And we did it at 12 o'clock noon Mountain Time on January 10th. So that was the start date there. I had actually practiced the launch 2 or 3 times ahead of time, because when you start a blockchain up, it's not exactly, it was a very stressful day. But it worked out, but as time progressed and people started diving into it, they started realizing, and anybody who's actually used Digibyte, like, holy crap, it really is faster, it's cheaper, and, there's more decentralization in the mining. And that's true. To this day, we do have more decentralization in mining than Litecoin or Bitcoin. We have more groups, we have a wide array, and that's kind of that was the original idea of multi-algo is, you never want to have one group control more than 20% of the mining. So yes, we have this issue with Udocrypt right now, where we don't know who this main miner is, or if it's a group of miners or conglomerate. But they're not in a position they could 51% attack the network because they've only got 20% of the hash rate. So, that's still a benefit, and that's still better, although it's not ideal, long term. So, but, as time went on, I had some interactions, it became very apparent that Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and for them to go out and basically take upgrades or, from an altcoin would basically be like admitting defeat. And that's just, that whole culture is never going to do it.
So what you're saying is if they actually listen to you, and Digibyte would never exist, would that be correct?
That's fair to say. I don't know. That's hard. I didn't really have interactions with them directly, some of these people until after Digibyte, but, had I suggested it and got into a talk, maybe not. I don't know. That's actually, I've never thought about that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
And interestingly, some people don't know that, like, those Bitcoin talk threads are still there. Like, that is history, and it's just right there on the internet.
Yeah, it's all documented. The first days, the first hours, all the first it's still there.
Of course, you weren't called Jared Tate. It was Digiman, right?
Well, my original name was Digitator, or no, Bitcoin Tater. Bitcoin Tater was my Bitcoin Tate was my Bitcoin handle. But I actually, a lot of people don't know. As far as I know, at that time, all the coins that were launched were basically anonymous. Every founder was anonymous. And I remember in February, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks after I launched Digibyte, maybe it was sooner, maybe it was the end of January, I can't remember. I actually put my LinkedIn together and publicly said, I'm like, look, my name's Jared Tate. I created it. I'm from Idaho. I'm a real person. I'm not trying to scam you guys. And I was one of the first, if not the first, altcoin founder to do that. And I don't think it was very long after that Charlie Lee came out, and then some other founders. Somebody could fact check me on that, but I think I was either the first or one of the first handful.
So you went from white hat to publicly white hat.
Something like that. But, I realized at the time, going back to 2014, crypto was just, it was very much just out of its cypherpunk infancy, in 2011, 2012. Most of the people in crypto were developers, and not just any developers, but, old school C++, kind of anarchist, kind of the Kevin Mitnick type in the 90s. And it was a different culture.
But there were still some scammers, some people doing. I mean, there were people that were basically forking Bitcoin, renaming it, and launching a new blockchain every week just to dump a pre-mine on the public. I mean, you'd literally find these guys. They had the same website template. You know, you could route their seed servers with the same IP. Like, it was pretty obvious. So there was a little bit. It was harder to scam people back then than I would say it was in 2017 or 2021 even. I think it's actually gotten easier for scammers to prosper, which is not good. I mean, some of the stuff you see today, people did attempt back then, but they were laughed. Nobody even took it seriously. Nobody even downloaded the client because it was so blatantly a scam.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Those, in a way, it's kind of I guess the good old days, you know, the infancy. But there was a belief that, you know, there was a real fear that the government was going to crack down at any minute. And they did. And in fact, you know, I've been told there were a lot of DOJ and under the Obama administration investigations, you know, in 2014, 15, 16, where they had a plan to shut down Bitcoin. You know, I think that's come out. There's several sources, but you know, it was definitely a different time, but kind of a cool time. There was a sense of just excitement that we all knew that this technology was going to change the world. We just didn't know how. And, you know, here we are almost 10 years later, and I think we still feel that way. Although we have a little bit better idea and indication of how and where and what to you know, what's going to happen moving forward. Anyway, I'm just going to start. I'm rambling now. So, like I said, I want this to be about the community, not me. So,
is there anyone that would like to or want to express themselves here and ask a question to the DigiByte Awareness team or anyone in the chat?
What are the average daily posts from the DigiByte Awareness teams on all different social platforms? So, like, how many?
So, as it stands right now, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, we do have, we're on Twitter, obviously, Telegram, that's pretty much the core and the official help. We also have YouTube, which can be a little bit more active at this point. We're refocusing on on the fundamentals and some of the target areas that we feel that the community can greatly benefit on and support and bring in donations for development and whatnot. Anything else, Meadow?
I agree that I believe that the community is starved for content. I mean, we've created various groups here and there to invite community members in just throughout the day. You know, they can speak and this and that, just so that they don't feel like they're hung out there on their own, especially here in this bear market. I think that's important, and I think stepping it up to bring content for the community to see, and that would be a great idea.
I have a question for everybody. You know, obviously we're here on Twitter Spaces. This is my first space. I kind of like it. It actually kind of makes it like almost like an informal conversation, and you know, like you'd have with a group of people in your living room or something. But what other platforms and channels would people say is the main way that people are communicating in 2023? And I know it's, you know, obviously younger people are way more addicted to TikTok, but I mean, from my perspective, it kind of seems like Telegram's fallen off a little bit. Not as many people use it daily, and it's more Twitter and YouTube. Am I mistaken, or what's everybody else's perspective on you know, where are the real key primary platforms to get content out on?
Well, for the most part, we all use Grindr.
I think the best thing to do is just post video content. I don't really know if it matters which social media platform we do, but like video content is the way to go. And then especially of course YouTube and TikTok. TikTok is very addictive. It's like the heroin of social media. I think people share things pretty rapidly there. And besides that, it's like nowadays most of the social media companies are kind of getting alike, you know, like YouTube's also implementing shorts, Instagram implementing reels. Everything is about video. So I think quick video infographics, you know, you can build simple ones with Canva for like within a few minutes. I think those should be the key in the content strategy. Besides, of course, just knowing what we are doing, because if we know how many posts we do and what the reach for that is, we can try to improve on that.
I agree. I definitely agree with everything he just said. When we look at the social media landscape right now, it's true that all the platforms are trying to mimic each other and become TikTok in a sense. When it comes to like users over a certain age though, like probably over the age of like 23, 25, that's when like TikTok use, I think, begins to decline. I think the internet has decentralized itself, and the connections are actually more peer-to-peer now. So it's just a one thing I'd like to plug though is the Digibyte Reddit. It's a large community. It's got 45,000 subscribers, and not that many people post. And it's kind of odd to use Reddit. A lot of people don't post on Reddit, but if you have an important message you want to spread to the community, if you post it on the Digibyte Reddit, thousands of people will see it. Regardless, like it's almost guaranteed to get thousands and thousands of views just because there's not that much content there. So just want to let you guys know about that.
I almost forgot about the Discord that that Oliver is upholding there from the awareness team, and I know LT's in that too, and John Song, and forgot about that.
Yeah, that's good too. Jose, man, just whenever you feel like speaking, just chime in, man. No need to put that emoji up.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to make a comment because I think this kind of matters. The two platforms right now that are getting the most interaction are Twitter and the subreddit. And like Script mentioned, the Discord. And I think that the different platforms can be used for different things. Like if you want to talk about business, if you want to hold a community education hour like the ones that the Digibyte Alliance has been doing, that is a great place for it. Discord is a great place for it because here in the spaces, sometimes people come in and can be disruptive, and it could be more of a lounge and hangout. Right now, I'm glad that nobody's come in and started just going off. Like I think we've held spaces and we the host gives somebody a mic and then they start just rambling off and saying crap and then they leave. But so different platforms are going to be used for different things. And just knowing that Reddit and Twitter right now probably get the most interaction for the Digibyte community.
And I also wanted to follow up on that. I think Discord could be pretty impactful as well, because I've been doing like NFT review videos for one of my companies, and not to boast that or anything, but the main thing, the key thing where people of the new NFT communities wanted to get their potential customers or their potential new holders or their potential new community was in their Discord. They all wanted to link them through the Discord to get all the information out there. And I think that it's very important. I don't think I'm a member of the Discord, but if we have a Discord, that's the place where people can go to ask the simple and hard questions. So I think that's something, you just reminded me of that as well. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, in fact, one of the most YouTubers that have like 150,000 followers always have a Discord with even bigger community where they congregate. Not so much on Twitter, but there are Twitter handles for these influencers as well. That'd be something that we can probably lock down and have a rabbit trail of legitimate Digibyte Discord, link to the Digibyte Awareness Team or whatnot, and Twitter and Digibyte Coin, Digibyte Awareness Team.
I have another proposal, maybe, is to at least create an audio version of different things and then just broadcast it also across all different platforms, including that of YouTube, because sometimes, like when we have these Digibyte spaces, people across the globe and within the EU are asleep during the time that within the United States we're awake and able to converse. But, you know, I think for other people to even go back and reflect upon it later would be a benefit in the future, even for someone just scrolling through wanting to learn more about Digibyte and stumbles across it. I think that would be a benefit. As well, like for the blind, one platform called Shake is after me to start producing content there. So I thought about doing that to get that more into other people who are blind, and you know, of what I did and how I was able to do it, but also to share other things of blockchain and Digibyte to be able to invest in as a means to escape the system of impoverishment known as disability.
You know, I think that's a good point, and we definitely do need to work. This is something that I'm going to be working on along with the Digibyte awareness team to really get the information streams out on all platforms. And I'll look into Shake as well, but also StreamYard and just getting it out together. It's very powerful when you could release all the information at once. That's for sure.
But also, consistency is a key. Like Mike, you reiterating. You have to be consistent. I see all the time. You see these hype cycles, and people come and go because they just stop making content. It's all about just being there all the time, or at least once a week. Whatever you decide to schedule, you kind of have to be there and be responsible for showing up. And I think that's very important.
I definitely agree on that, and that's also why I like one of the recent weekly updates that we were doing from Digibyte. I was trying to find a tweet to share it in the space, but there were some weekly updates, and they were getting pretty good engagement, and that's for Twitter then. But I think those could also be done in video form for all other social platforms. Let me share it to the chat. It's this one. Is it popping up? The Digibyte on-chain review. I think that if we can continue to do those weekly, I think those are pretty. If you scroll through the pages, you see that the engagement is pretty well in comparison to some of the other tweets.
Yeah, that's fascinating. A quick question for those of you guys that are much better at this stuff. I've read that shorter videos are better, and that the longer you get, the more people tend to tune out. And I've seen that in my own analytics. But is it better to have like question-based, like live stream where people can ask questions, or is it better to do like interview, where two people are interacting, asking questions? I know personally, I tend to jive better when I'm talking to somebody else, and that's what's kind of great about this group is it's like a discussion format, which I feel like is a better learning tool. But what's, I guess, to format videos and audio, what does everybody think is best?
As far as I can see, what a lot of people are, as far as the popular mainstream crypto guys, what they do is usually go over their content and then open up to the questions later on, and either go to the spaces to kind of one-on-one with everybody, or just open up questions in the chat, and then they'll do maybe last 15 minutes or whatever, or last quarter of their segment, just answering, going through questions of the content that they went through earlier. So it's been pretty, I say, successful.
I gravitate to the second part of what Jared just said, to where it's more of an interaction and questions and answers that are going back and forth. I tend to get more out of content that way than just someone spouting off and going through. Not only that, whenever I try to go through a lot of different information, it's like after the upload is finished, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to mention this or that. And it's like I tend to get more out of the interaction between other people going back and forth on different things and bouncing different ideas and brainstorming back and forth. I tend to get more off of that.
I agree with Dave there. I seem to like maybe not an interview type thing, but maybe if you have two people there in a discussion and then you have someone that's watching the questions as they come in and they're both discussing it. I think that flows really well.
How about the approach of mixing the medicine with your food, so to speak? An example would be like you're talking about, blockchain related things, but then you talk about things that people can relate to on like everyday lives, such as health,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea and suggestion, and I think it's just kind of, where we are as human beings on a day-to-day basis. There's more happening every day in our life than just blockchain, and we tend to have our most honest and straightforward discussions when we're talking to other people like people. So yeah, it's great feedback. Thank you.
I also wanted to touch upon your question whether we should do long or short form content, because you said, well, maybe it is when people need to watch longer that they will drop off more easily as time progresses. But I think quality is here the most important guideline, and just testing. So quality, of course, if you have a high quality video, people will tend to watch it to the end with higher average percentage viewed. But in other ways, if you do the shorter content, you might be able to produce more. And what you could do is maybe set up a long form video, like an interview or something like that, and then make one or two, or maybe do a contest between the community of finding the best clips. And then eventually, if you get a video with the highest long form conversion engagement, then you could also produce even more clips of that, because that was a successful one.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Makes sense. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything to say or questions? Or I know.
Well, I don't want to be a speaker too long, so other people can have this space. But I just wanted to stop in and say happy birthday, Digibyte, and like to say hey to Jared. And I'm so glad you're back, man. And I'm looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Hopefully it lasts. For those that don't know, I was suspended in July, but I've actually submitted 12 appeals now to get my main account back, and I created 4 new accounts, and all of them were instantly banned. This one I created in November, and it was instantly
Same for
banned.
me on Facebook.
They banned my phone number, my IP address.
Yep.
My image, and then my name even just.
Yep.
And so I did try to get back on Twitter, but their algorithm, I was completely blackballed. So surprisingly, I submitted another appeal for this account, and it was accepted, which I don't know why they wouldn't do my main one, but I'm working on getting my main one back. But yeah, I like the flow of these spaces. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the early days when we were all, back in IRC chat when Digibyte first started. It's kind of coming back to my mind now, but it's definitely a more informal way, but I think it's more of a direct way, which is kind of cool.
Right on.
Yeah, I got a question. Jared, have you ever thought about writing a more technical book over 2035? Because that one's more of your personal philosophy on a lot of things.
Yes, I've thought about doing a really kind of technical deep dive, and then I've also thought about doing like a blockchain 101 simplified one. But I've kind of come to the conclusion, at least for my style, I hate writing, and words can often be misconstrued, especially if you're, confined to 120, 150 characters. I like the video format, and one of the things I've really wanted to do since basically 2018 is come up with video series, video guide, short form, just direct over a variety of topics. And that's kind of what I'm really focused on working towards in 2023. Because I feel like a hardcore technical book, I mean, you have a fairly limited audience. And most developers, I think, are just more interested in finding, development guides or integration guides, written, on GitHub.
Yeah, no, I'm looking much forward to it. I think a lot of people, if they really understood the ethos of what this protocol, it's a new technology. A lot of people forget that. Like, this is on the back end of years and years of giants like Dr. Ralph Merkle and Shannon, and to have this cryptography and this data structure and cryptography like mixed together is just a really special technology. I think if people kind of knew the technical behind it, it would help be beneficial for a lot of people.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. You're talking more about just a deep kind of analysis and explanation of what's going on and why it matters. I mean, it's a good idea. It's one of those things, like you said, going back to the early days, I mean, just building stuff for the first 4 or 5 years, I mean, it took 100% of my time and others' times, so there really wasn't time to do many videos or updates, but it's important because, on one aspect, you got the technology, but the other aspect, you have to communicate that to people, and you have to try and communicate it effectively to bring more people in. Because if you don't do that, you can have the best technology in the world, but nobody knows about it.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know I am about to attempt to hand this space off to Archie and Script here. I hope that it doesn't cut everyone off. I hope it continues on, but if it does, then that's why I'm this guy's basically buried on the side of the road. I'm up to Tennessee, and I'm about to have to move. So,
It's been 2.5 hours, roughly.
You stuff through when no one else could. I really appreciate that, Shane.
Yeah, I gotta run too, so I'm gonna cut out here as well.
Thanks for hopping in, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you all, and happy birthday, and let's make 2023 the best year yet. Cheers.
Happy birthday. Cheers.
Thank you, Jared. All right, so if Digibyte official does, or Digibyte Awareness Team official account does end the call, we could attempt to restart it on the Digibyte Daily account, but I'm not sure if it would transfer over.
You should be able to carry it on as a co-host. I mean, that's the way that it's been done before, that we would keep spaces going. But, I mean, just as a precaution, I thought I would let everyone know if it disconnects. That's why. I'll be able to carry it for a little longer, but I'm about to have to move along here, and then I'm uncertain of the service that I'll have to keep carrying it.
All right, understood. So, why don't we open the floor up, see if anyone wants to say something. Laura, I see you're up here as a speaker. You've been pretty quiet recently. If you'd like to come up. No pressure.
Would you mind if I asked a quick question?
Go ahead.
Might be a little bit of a tangent. Apologize for that. I think there's developers here, and accolades are a little bit different from where I'm at. But I saw a tweet just recently about Chat GPT, and I was just wondering what anyone in this space thought about Chat GPT. And I'm not sure if y'all saw the tweet about it using some possible or Digibyte technology. But I'm not sure if that's off the wall stuff Or
I
what to
think
make of that?
I think that was. I think you might be referring to Michelle's tweet. I think that was more just getting a feel for how ChatGPT works. It's just an AI. It's an AI engine that answers questions or follows directions. I think that was not using Digibyte technology, but simply just asking it about companies that might be using it. But if anyone has any input on that, I don't think there was anything to that. Let me let Jared up here again. So again, the floor is open. I don't think that question is too relevant, but if anyone else has anything to say, or
I'll definitely pipe in on this. I've actually spent a fair amount of time using ChatGPT, and not just ChatGPT, but the open beta playground. And it's a game changer. Over the last 3 weeks, I've used it to write numerous forms of code. I took, for example, I took the dandelion.cpp file in the blockchain Digibyte core source code, and it's 600 lines, very complex, hard to read, hard to understand. I pasted all 600 lines of dandelion.cpp, so it's C++ code. And I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you summarize what this code is doing? And it spit out a 2-paragraph, beautiful summary explaining what was happening with Dandelion and how it was interacting with the core protocol. And keep in mind, this is a piece of code that had 0 code comments. So it's extremely powerful. I've used it for idea generation, content generation. It's a game changer, but it's not like it's running on Digibyte or anything. I think what she meant, and the way I look at it, is it is a tool to augment not only coding and development. Like, I can literally say, hey, ChatGPT, can you write me a simple program that I can run from the command line that will go to an API and grab me the average weather in Austin, Texas over the last year and what the current temperature is? Literally talk to it like a human being. It spits out a page of code. I plopped it in. It ran perfectly, literally from the terminal as a program. I mean, that's how easy it is to write code. And to me, it's really got me thinking, like, wow, this could be a huge benefit to not only how we code on Digibyte and how we, it's also really good at debugging code. I've dropped some C++ code. I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me what's wrong with this code? And it'll debug it. It'll tell you. Or you can say, hey, can you refactor this code so it's simpler? Can you and it does it. Like, literally spits it out in a few seconds. It's crazy. I mean, I used to think programmers were going to rule the world. Now I realize it's probably only going to be programmers using AI. But no, there's a lot of potential. Not only for marketing content, but coding, and especially explaining what code does and debugging. So if we get more developers using it, it's almost like a multiplier, where instead of just having me doing it the way I've done it the last 9 years, it's almost like I have 5 more guys there. I mean, literally, it'll spit out code in 2 or 3 seconds that I just ask it to write in basic English language. And it spits out code that would have taken me 3, 4, 5 hours to write. So yeah, it's really cool, and I think it's a tool everybody should look into. And it doesn't just do coding. You can ask it to write a 5-paragraph essay. Like, I asked it, I'm like, please explain, Digibyte to me like I'm 5 years old in a 5-paragraph essay, and it actually did. It was pretty good. There's some inaccuracies here and there.
That's cool.
But it also works for image generation. Like, you can go, DALL-E is the image version. You can go say, hey, create me a Digibyte logo in a mountain, with a lake, and it kicks it out. Just literally asking a simple question. It's truly amazing. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'll step back down.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, these AI tools, a lot of Digibyte community members have been using them, like Jared said, to like make some content, and there's definitely a lot of things you could do with it, but just not running itself on Digibyte. I don't believe it's utilizing Digibyte. Of course, Thanks for asking the question. Anyone else have any other questions? Again, the floor is open. Anyone can talk.
I have a statement. I've been training for the Los Angeles Marathon here in Los Angeles this upcoming March for like the last 3 months now, and I plan on I guess bringing awareness to like Digibyte and probably Litecoin and Bitcoin by showcasing like maybe, I don't know, decals on my running attire. And yeah, I like Digibyte, I like blockchain. And yeah, it'll be my first marathon ever. And yeah.
Hey, nice, man. If you do end up going through with that, post some photos online. We could definitely share it from the Digibyte socials.
Oh no, it's already done mentally, right? Because you said if I ended up doing that, like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we might call it a night if we got we're in here an hour 42 minutes in. It's actually been 2 hours and 42 minutes. We've been going on for a while, guys. I don't know if Shane is there to control, but what do you guys feel about just calling it a night?
Yeah, I gotta run too. Literally here quick. So, but yeah, thank you all. It's been great. We should do this more.
I just want to thank everybody here that has participated in speaking. It's been a humble experience. 9 years for Digibyte. What an awesome time. And just want to thank each and every one of you just stepping up and playing your part for this phenomenon and just to continue the good fight.
When are we going to get script live TA streams at 3 a.m. again?
Well, it has. Thanks, Q, for bringing that up. It has been.
I've been waiting on this shit night and day. I'm up at 3 a.m. I'm like, when the fuck are you gonna start the stream?
I know that's one of the things that in the Digibyte awareness team that we've been discussing. It was good. I'm not when I'm part of the Digibyte awareness team. I can't talk about price, or like future price predictions or anything like that. Like the TA, I was battling to say, look, guys, I'm just looking at the patterns, the TA, and all that. But it's not really something that I'm going to get back into. Maybe me and you privately, we can talk about it anytime. There is a Digibyte speculation price chat on. There's over 2,000 people over there on Telegram. But at this point in time, it's just like we're refocused on the fundamentals and the education and trying to figure out where we're going as a team. I know a lot of the Digibyte Alliance has picked up a lot of the education part. So we're just kind of like refocusing on what we can do better for the community. Did that answer your question? And trust me,
that was honestly the most shit answer I've ever heard in my fucking life. A politician could have wrote that shit.
Fine, bro.
But I'll take that answer. But I think it was good. You brought more awareness when you did your live streams.
Don't get me wrong. Once I get my computer up and running again, I'll do more.
I mean, shit. Who the fuck wrote that? Joe Biden? Who fucking wrote that speech for you?
It's just mainly this. Well, I'm just saying, this space is mainly for the refocusing of the Digibyte awareness team and celebrating Digibyte's birthday.
Keep it all proper, like.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting that back up. The Digibyte Con Talk, do interviews.
Yeah, I mean, even when you were doing it, you never blatantly told anyone that was going to go to a certain price. It was more so just to bring the community together. And I thought it was, I never came to just to.
Well, I guess that ended it. Somebody hit the end button on Twitter Spaces. So let's see. Let me get back in here. Somewhere. Oh, yeah. I've even got the thing covered up. Wow. All right. Yeah. 2 hours, 33 minutes, 34 minutes. Now. Okay. So yeah, a lot of different things discussed tonight. Several different speakers. Jared Tate, Laura Taylor, Jose, Script, Script Skynet, Gladden TV, Master of Leadership for hosting the space, the Digibyte Awareness team. And let's see, Laura Taylor was there, as well as Michelle from the Alliance, the Digibyte Alliance. Other people like Jay, Majestic Jay, chimed in, as well as Johnny Law, as well as there were many people involved this evening that you just got a chance to listen to. And we would like to bring a little more of this atmosphere, basically, going back and forth to allow you, the public, to then ask questions and get answers and directly. Within good reason, though. I mean, nothing absurd, nothing crazy. I mean, thankfully this evening we didn't get any Asperger's, but we didn't get the crazies in there tonight, so that was a good thing. However, we also do have I also have the ability to edit some of that kind of stuff out. If different things were said that should not be said, that part should be edited out, whether in, let's say if Freudian slip, of an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's like, I wait, can you edit that out? I shouldn't have said that, kind of a thing. Like that's a legal term between two different parties who guarantee one another not to share that information. And sometimes information like that does get exchanged. However, in a recorded space, we would not promote that. I would say it that way. However, show up. You might hear something once once in a while. So a lot of things were discussed tonight that, was very good to hear again. A few different topics that I haven't heard in a while. Like the modified proof of stake. That was one thing. I could elaborate on that a bit more. And I would actually like to. As well as the ProgPow and what was the other one? ProgPow and Random X. So I mean, I've got a couple of servers that I've built with like dual Xeon processors, like the Intel Xeon processor I see 2690. Those each used to retail for like $5,000 a piece, 16 thread, 32 core. Yeah. Bad to the bone. And running a dual on that as a CPU miner, I could run that like crazy. Then it's got like 96 gigabytes of RAM on it. I mean, I could add a bunch of storage, but it wouldn't be for storage. It would be meant to run a node, to use that power to run that node, but for a mining node, because I want to do that. I really, really do. And I really would like to touch more on that, because now granted, version 8.22 needs to be completed first before RandomX and ProgPow can even be a thing. And I completely understand that. you know, because I've got the equipment to do that. However, the one thing that I would like to add to that for everyone to please hear me out, there was something called a one-click miner a few years ago for I believe it was Skyne, and I would like to see something developed like that. Something easy that I can download directly from the digibyte.org website. Say a zip file of a bootstrap, so that way then I can then run that. However, it would be basically a plug and play. Like you would have to have a core wallet or something of that nature to then run that. Control C to copy your address, and then Control V to and then paste your address in there. And of course, open Notepad and Control A and Control C, Control V to download the whole damn thing to a separate file if you wish. But anyway, that something like that would be awesome if the people at home could have an easy download and an easy way just to implement the payout address for running the hardware. That would be awesome. I mean, even if we, like myself, to purchase an ASIC miner, even to do that, okay? I purchased the ASIC miner, then what? Why not make an easy plug and play? Keep it simple. Keep it simple, an easy plug and play. Connect your Antminer or your L7 or whatever, whatever miner that you wish, and from a direct download off of the website. That would just be awesome if it was like a one-click miner, where I could just click it and run it, and then just turn the monitor off to the screen and set it to, you have to, whenever you run a node, like I run a few nodes for a few different things, but you set your computer up to where it doesn't automatically shut down to run and install updates. So you set it to a certain way, and then you go back and you check it every so often. I check it daily, but whatever, right? So anyway, had a good time tonight. I still cannot celebrate in cheers. I cannot have alcohol and take amoxicillin. So it kind of defeats it, or it doesn't it actually does defeat the purpose of it. And I'm just getting over being sick, I'm really feeling well. Second day, I'm really feeling well, sleeping well. I have an air purifier as well as getting an ozone. I have not coughed. I now get to sleep all night instead of waking myself up coughing with mucus and all. So I'm still dealing with a bit, but it's a lot better than where I was. So, and if you're wondering, it was a Winix, WINIX 2500-2, or no, 5500-2. Sorry, I had 5500-2 was the model number. But anyway, awesome unit. I've only had, this is now 4 days in, and night and day difference when I keep it's a medical grade air purifier for the bedroom, and it is just awesome. So I hope all of you have enjoyed. Have a good evening. And happy birthday, Digibyte. 9 years today. Y'all be cool. Let's go make it a year. Later.